Welcome back, everyone. All right, let's just dive right into today's explainer. We are going to do something really effective and, honestly, a lot of fun. We're going to master an entire toolkit of high-level vocabulary words, 20 of them to be exact. But don't worry, we are definitely not going to do it by just staring at flashcards or doing rote memorization. Instead, we're jumping straight into the deep end. We're going to look at these words in their natural habitat, right in the middle of a high-stakes, real-world debate. It's like a giant puzzle, seeing exactly how language is used to persuade, criticize, and defend.
To pull this off, we're looking at a truly fascinating piece of source material. It's a rather fiery letter to the editor titled In Poor Taste, written by a nurse and mother named K.D. Nettles. Now, I want to be absolutely clear right up front. Our goal here isn't to take a side on the politics of our argument. We are simply examining the incredibly passionate case she makes, her argument that food and beverage companies are deliberately targeting kids with junk food ads. We're doing this just to see exactly how she deploys our vocabulary words to build such a persuasive narrative.
And right from the jump, the author really doesn't hold back. She writes, "Our children are sitting ducks in an advertising war, pelting kids with a dangerous diet of junk food." I mean, wow, that is a dramatic, highly visual opening line. And right there, boom, we see our first vocabulary word in action, pelting. When you pelt something, you're throwing a continuous stream of things at it. You strike it successively. It creates this vivid, almost overwhelming mental image of children just being completely bombarded by commercials.
So, moving on to Section 1, Conflict and Emotion. Let's take a look at some of these really high-stakes words. Our next word is firebrand. Now, a firebrand is literally a piece of burning wood, but when you use it as a noun to describe a person, it means a troublemaker, an agitator, or an extremely energetic and emotional person. What's really clever here is how the author uses it. She explicitly states, "I am no troublesome firebrand." She's strategically telling the reader, look, I'm not a hothead, I don't normally go around picking fights. This little rhetorical device actually makes the anger she's about to unleash feel so much more justified.
Because she certainly is angry. She states she is writing to express her indignation. To be indignant is an adjective meaning you are filled with resentment or anger over something you find unjust, unworthy, or mean. You aren't just mad. You feel genuinely offended on a deep moral level. If you look at the antonyms, words like pleased, delighted, or elated, you can vividly see that stark contrast. The author feels deeply, intensely resentful of these marketing tactics.
And what exactly is she so indignant about? Well, the indifference of the corporations. Indifference is a noun that means a complete lack of interest or concern. It's total apathy. She's incredibly frustrated by what she perceives as the absolute unconcern of these companies who, in her words, are just trying to get one over on the public.
Okay, Section 2, Business and Risk. Let's examine some of the vocabulary around corporate practices. The author demands that these companies be transparent in their advertising, which means being clear, easily recognized, or easily understood by the public. And she's particularly focused on how these transparent ads shouldn't be misleading on websites that cater to children. To cater means to satisfy the needs of or to supply food and services directly to someone. So the crucial point she's making is that when businesses cater specifically to young demographics, they take on a much higher responsibility to avoid deceptive tactics. Let's pause for a second and test your business and leadership vocabulary with a quick pop quiz straight from our source material. Listen to this sentence. Queen Victoria began her blank in 1837 at the age of 18 and ruled until her death in 1901. Would you use the word entrepreneur or regime here? Think about whether we're talking about a business person starting a company or a period of systemic rule. If you chose regime, you hit the nail on the head. A regime is a noun meaning a government in power or a period of rule. An entrepreneur, on the other hand, is someone who takes on the financial risk of starting a business. It is absolutely vital to know the difference between taking a commercial risk and holding systemic power.
That brings us to Section 3, Hazards and Survival. Let's unpack some of this intense danger vocabulary.
The author calls childhood obesity a dangerous hazard, which is a noun meaning a risk, peril, or danger. She also vows to plague government officials who do nothing. Now, as a verb, to plague means to annoy or bother constantly, though as a noun, you probably know it refers to a widespread evil or disease. Finally, we have homicide, which is literally the ultimate hazard, meaning the killing of one person by another.
And you know, this brilliantly illustrates how these high-stakes vocabulary words show up everywhere, from modern healthcare debates to classic literature. The source material actually links these words to Shakespeare's Macbeth.
Think about it. After the homicide of the Scottish king, a sleepwalking Lady Macbeth realizes her guilt. When you're involved in something so destructive, no one walks away unscathed. Unscathed is an adjective meaning wholly unharmed or uninjured.
Returning to our letter, the author wants to act before kids are actually harmed, but look closely at the precise verbs used here: hinder versus dissuade. She argues that misleading corporate tactics hinder healthy eating goals, meaning they actively delay, or rather completely stop or prevent them. Meanwhile, she, as a concerned nurse, will do everything in her power to dissuade kids from eating junk food. To dissuade means to use persuasion, to talk someone out of doing something. They're definitely related concepts, but dissuade relies on a conversation, while hinder creates a literal roadblock.
All right, Section 4, Literary Context. We're going to discover how these exact words show up in classic O. Henry stories.
So, O. Henry wrote these iconic, incredible stories about everyday people living in New York City over a century ago. And if we look at excerpts from his collection, The 4 Million, we see our vocabulary right there on the page. He writes about the customary, humble thanks of a character, meaning the usual, expected, or routine thanks. He describes a character glancing indifferently at a card, showing that exact same lack of interest we discussed earlier. The core meanings literally don't change, whether we're talking about a 21st century health debate or a street scene from the 1800s.
Let's see how this builds with another O. Henry quote, this time from Springtime a la carte. Mutual satisfaction resulted from the agreement. Mutual is such a fantastic adjective. It means something shared, felt, or shown equally by two or more parties. Just as the nurse in our letter complained about corporations and politicians who mutually benefit from leaving things exactly as they are, O. Henry's characters find mutual satisfaction. A shared experience is the absolute key to this word.
Finally, Section 5, Words into Action. It is time to test your knowledge. I want you to try and fill in the blank in this sentence. It took the authorities quite some time to put down the riot that a few rash blank had managed to start. We are looking for a plural noun we covered today that means a troublemaker, an agitator, or a hothead. Do you have it?
The answer is firebrands. If you got that, fantastic job. A rash firebrand is exactly the kind of person who would stir up a riot.
Let's do one more rapid-fire challenge. I need you to recall a specific synonym. From our hazards and survival list, which adjective means lucky to survive the battle unimpaired or wholly unharmed? Think back to our Lady Macbeth example.
The word is unscathed. Emerging from a wreck, a battle, or even a scandal completely uninjured means you got out unscathed. Excellent work absorbing all these subtle definitions today.
To wrap up today's explainer, I want to leave you with a direct challenge from our source materials essay section. What, if anything, do you think should be done to regulate food ads on TV programs for children? Formulate your own argument, take a stance, but most importantly, try to use at least 3 of the vocabulary words we mastered today to make your case. Being able to articulate your perspective clearly and powerfully is exactly what building a strong vocabulary is all about. Thanks so much for learning with me today, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.